All righty, welcome everyone to the trade findings and adjustments for Tuesday evening, the 7th of April. If you read that sentence there, I'm going to give you a quick second to read it. That's my game plan for tonight. If you are going to do any investing, you need to be looking out a year or more. Really, our economy, that's not the best spelling, our economy will come back when people get back to work. It's that simple. I'm going to say this tongue in cheek. We're not even going through a bad flu season yet. Now, that does not mean that the people who have suffered, who have died because of the coronavirus, aren't hurting, and it's not extremely bad for them. But looking at where we're at, 28,640 new cases here, comes after a 30,331 yesterday. But the staggering figure, excuse me, are the new deaths. Our deaths are skyrocketing. Last week we had about 4,000. We're now at almost 13 on Tuesday. Critical cases. We might have another 9,100 that aren't going to make it. Maybe it's going to be half. Excuse me. Maybe it's going to be half of that. But this is what gets our economy back to work when we have the all clear sign. So if I was to ask you, and there's 16 of you here today, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Type in when you think we're going to have the all clear. May 1st, May 15th, May 5th, my birthday. Type in when you think we're going to have the all clear. We've got a May 15th. We've got a no one knows. Someone says 6 months. I really think it'll get the worst here in a week and a half. So the last 2 weeks of April, first week in May, is when things should probably be at their worst. So I might say, I'm probably going to go with Maud and go May 15th, but I'm reserving the right to push that out to May 31st, where we'll all be back to work and things might be normal, which is devastating because that means people have to live off of savings for 2 months. And I really do think they're going to have a, hey, don't even go out for food. We're quarantining everyone for 14 days. You stay in your house or you're in trouble. That with the warm weather will probably kill this thing off. So, if I was going to go back and talk to you about what Kiev has said last week, there are 2 ways to thinking. Traditionally, we suggested last Tuesday to invest 20% to 25%. Geez, come on, Hurley. 20% to 25%. Good thing I can't type worth beans. If you had 10K sitting around into the SPY. Place a trade. We looked out and we did some dollar cost averaging. last week. We dollar cost averaged Ford, Disney, Apple for some people, Baidu, Under Armour for everyone, Boeing for a couple. Boy, we kind of went to town. But today stumped me. I mean, in all honesty, yesterday and today have stumped me. Boeing was up on a no name, no one knows who they really are analysts that downgraded them from 350 to 150. They shut down their factory. In fact, all their plant making factories are shut down. Yet they were up this morning, up to the top end of our 165, 140 bear put that I felt it violated that upper range, so we took it off for like a 63-cent loss. And then the damn thing came all the way back. And we still had 140s or 145, 100 bear puts. But it just fell away. In fact, in general, the market fell away. It's really a bugger to see what's going on. Now, I have an interesting comment, so let me read through it, and we're going to go from here. Everyone will not re-enter the workforce immediately when it is over. I agree. It'll probably be staged over a 4 to 8 week period of time. It will take time to restart the economy. Yes and no. And the reason why I'm going to say yes and no is because even though I'm quarantined in my house, I'm still finding ways to use my credit card. We're still buying food. We're having it shipped. We're sending Amazon crap all over the place. I think by looking at the amount of packages my sister-in-law gets right below me, she rents out my basement, I think some people are spending more money on their credit cards and on Amazon than before. All this money we're saving on gas is going to Amazon and the delivery services for those things that we want. So the question is, if the consumer is really 70% of the economy, Rich, I'm not sure how much time it might take to restart the U.S. economy. The world economy could take 6 months. It just won't get over. Again, I think it's going to be a 4 to 8 week process for getting things back into place. The companies will be cutting costs to help pay for their losses to the virus. I disagree. I think a lot of them are being bailed out. At $2 trillion, I'm just going to disagree. So let me put it in general. In general, companies will come out of this okay because they can keep their employees without having to retrain and do so in a way that's being paid for as a grant from the federal government. The paperwork is a bitch for a small business loan. It is awful. It is really just awful. I get it. But with that said, I think corporate America will end up a little bit better off because of the amount of stimulus that's put in to help out. Let's see what else. More people out of work. I see this as a long comeback, and it could be right. You could be right, but I think people want to get back to work living off of $1,060 a week, I think is pretty hard to do. And yes, you're right. There are some small companies that will not make it and probably won't make it because of the time lag and the complicatedness of getting the stimulus to them. In fact, plain and simple, I think it's easier for those that have 10 employees or less versus those that have 100 to 500 employees. So it may be difficult. Another comment, we may come back stronger in the long run if we stop making so much in China. Agreed. Especially if that comes to medicines. But again, everything I see by way of medicine is the simple stuff. It's not the Humana shots. It's not the technical stuff. It's the aspirins. It's the Tylenol. It's the antiseptics. It's, you know, it's the not so important stuff. So today, back in January, we got out of Visa. So for me, head fake kind of screwed me up. I got to the point where I looked at Visa and said, you know what? We need some Visa. So on a lot of accounts, my trade today that you could follow tomorrow and be able to follow in a cheaper price than I did. But that is not my Visa. So give me a second. Let's find out where my Visa went to. Insert pictures. There we go. I nibbled today with 1 or 2 contracts. I went into a June 17th, 2022. And here was our group order. And then we have some 401k and other orders over here. Actually got some better pricing. But we dabbled and put in 26 contracts amongst 14 accounts. And we dabbled in 1 or 2 contracts of Visa. Like 801 days out in time. We've got forever. And in all essence, in 2 years, Visa sure as heck better be above 200. But it was cheap. Got filled at 25, 22, 100 shares, $25. As I was looking at it, the $200 strike price, I thought, you know what? Visa could definitely be at 300 or 325. That gives me a 3 to 4 to 1 reward to risk. I've been out of it since January. We had a bunch of stuff called away. Took some good profits on it. And now we're back to getting in, nibbling on Visa. I also went in on 2,500 shares on some other people as we were entering new positions there. So Visa is now part of the game again. And yes, I was pissed off when it went up and came back, but my time horizon is out there 108 days. to where I'm comfortable being in Visa. And we might dabble in a few other accounts in the next couple days. Little shocked right now. Well, I guess not right now, but I just looked before I started, and we have the Dow's up 7, the S&P's up 3, the Nasdaq's up 13. Most of the Nasdaq is probably up on Microsoft, which announced it went from 5 million to 6 million Microsoft Office users as people are at home and realize I got to go buy Microsoft Office to do anything on my computer. So, two ways you could do it. You could dollar cost average old Visa positions if you're in them. I am not. You can start out with a new Visa position going out to June 17th of 2022. Again, it's like 801 days away. You could get in for $23 instead of $25.22. And now you could have, remember, each contract will cover up to 100 shares of Visa. And over 2 years period of time, I guess it's 2 years and 2 months, I would expect Visa to be somewhere between 325 and 350. Even if it's only at 300, that's a 3-to-1 reward to risk. If it's at 350, that is a 5-to-1 reward to risk, which is not a bad position to be in. So that's where you saw some new money going to. And that would be my trade for the day. Are there any questions? And it says sound, although my sound still says I'm talking to you guys. Any questions on going out to a leap? And really starting with one contract for $2,500, maybe a couple people I put 2 contracts in. I'd like to see it more. There's some accounts that could be at 10 contracts, but I'm going to start off with that 20%, getting some positions in there, just so if we do have a rebound, I'm not going to miss it. Lance, were these positions initiated today? Yes, these positions were initiated at 10:02 Mountain Standard Time. So yes, these positions were initiated today. And there's the date. So yes, Lance, that's what I just told you. If you wanted to go in tomorrow, you might get in at $23, which is better than my net price of $25.22. So yes, if you started this tomorrow, you would be getting in at a better price than I did. Thank you for rubbing that in. Any other questions? Guys, I'm going to be honest with you, a little tired. I'm going to make it short and sweet. If there are any questions about anything, let me answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to do a short one today. How do you usually exit the leaps? So Ida, in all honesty, if I went in with 2 contracts and I had to dollar cost average 2 more, I'll be in based on my account at around somewhere between $8,000 to $10,000. And it's pretty simple for me. On 4 contracts, I'm usually going to exit 1 at a 25% profit, exit the second one because I've dollar cost averaged at a 50% profit. And then my last 2, I want to nail 100% return. It's a leap. I have a lot of time. Not only that, but if I exit 2 at a 75% profit, one of these only has, well, the cost basis is going to be 33.5% less because I've already booked a profit. So that's where I can get greedy. I can say, you know what, the last two, I'm not going to exit until I've got like 100% return. And even then, I might stay in them longer. I might see if I can't get a 200% return. So usually I like to be in leaps and have at least 4, knowing I'm going to dollar cost average on the way down, or I might add more on the way up. But one I want to take off at a 25% return, one I want to take off at a 50% return. So I've lowered my cost basis by 33.5%. And then my next two, I get greedy and I let them ride. I look for those 100% returns so I can be like all the other education that makes some ridiculous numbers, but I can throw some ridiculous numbers out there and have real trades to prove it. Good question, Ida. Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions you guys have? So Ida just said, thanks, you seem to use them a lot. And so Ida, when you're on a 10-year bull run market, about 4 years into it, I started using them a lot. It took me 4 years to notice a screaming bull market. So yes, I went to a lot of leaps. I'm trying to leverage some money to make better returns. Now, my leaps are killing me this year. But thank goodness I have them leaps, and thank goodness I had cash to dollar cost average. I'm really looking to get out some of these at a small profit, hopefully May or June. Could be right after a good earnings number. I'm doing the best I can to lessen my exposure as we're going through a coronavirus year. But yes, I use them a ton, especially when we're in a historic, bull run market. I'm going to leverage to get better returns as much as I can. And yes, that could all be changing. I might be getting out of these leaps and going back into more stock ownership for the next year or two, depending on how our market recovers. Good question again. Are there any other questions? If not, guys, have a wonderful evening. I'm sorry this is only 24 minutes long this today. I'm just tired. Up early, up late at night, watching futures. Guys, have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I look forward to seeing you guys Thursday morning. Good night.